Okay, so I'm sure this past weekend most of you were out celebrating in costumes and going out to Halloween parties. But in other places around the world, for example, Mexico and some parts of the U.S. and Central America, they were having a different type of celebration. They were actually celebrating Dia de los Muertos, which means Day of the Dead. Today I'm going to be talking about the Day of the Dead, what it is, why people celebrate it, and what is done when people celebrate it. The celebration, now known as the Day of the Dead, has been going on for thousands of years. It is a ritual of indigenous people that they had been practicing. The celebration had begun with the Aztecs and other Mesoamerican civilizations. According to azcentral.com, the natives viewed death as a continuation of life, and instead of fearing death, they embraced it. To them, life was just a dream, and only in death did they become truly awake. In the Aztec calendar, this ritual fell roughly at the end of the Gregorian month of July and the beginning of August. But in the post-conquest era, it was moved by Spanish priests so that it coincided with the Christian holiday of All Hallows Eve in a vain effort to transform this to a Christian celebration. As a result, Mexicans now celebrate this in the first 2 days of November. It is believed that the spirit of the dead visits their family on October 31st at night, and it leaves on November 2nd. The actual holiday is celebrated November 1st and 2nd. The holiday focuses on gatherings of family and friends to pray for and remember friends and relatives who have passed away. To the people that celebrate the Day of the Dead, death is of course sad and painful, but along with the mourning comes happiness and joy, and that is where this celebration comes into play. They celebrate the time the deceased had on earth. OveraStreet.com reports that the Day of the Dead is important because the family believes it is important to maintain good relationships with the dead, for it is they who intercede and bring good fortune to the living. It is a time to come to terms with our mortality and become aware of the cycle of life and death. It is a day of honoring our beloved ones. I think it's important to keep in mind that the Day of the Dead celebration isn't a time to grieve and be sad. It is a time to be happy and celebrate that person's life. In Mexico, when it is close to November 1st, you begin to see little shops selling mini skulls, caskets, skeletons, and they're all made of candy. Some of them have names on the forehead of the skeletons for specific members of the family that have passed. The day's activities consist of visits by families to the graves. At the gravesites, family members engage in sprucing up the gravesite, decorating it with flowers, setting out and enjoying a picnic meal. They bring out the picnic, the food that they bring is mostly the food that the deceased enjoyed. Also at the home of the family members decorate a small altar that includes a picture of the deceased with candles around it, and they put out the person's favorite food and things he or she liked. Like for example, if the deceased liked alcohol or cigarettes, they put out their favorite alcohol and a pack of cigarettes for the spirit. At nighttime, the family enjoys a supper where they all share sweet bread called bread of the dead. Inside the bread, there is a small toy skeleton, and they cut the bread into pieces, and then different family members get a piece, and it's thought to be good luck if you bite into the toy skeleton. So today I talked about the history of the Day of the Dead. I also talked about why people celebrate and what families do when celebrating it. I hope that after hearing this, you might look at death in a different way and maybe even appreciate the people around you. And maybe next year you'll take some time out of your partying to celebrate the Day of the Dead and remember your loved ones that have passed away. Thank you. No.
Oh, sure, go ahead. Are you next door?
No, we're in 700.
There is no easel over in the 700 building. It's disappeared.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so is anybody else using the easel today?
It's no worries for the display.
You're okay? All right.
Thank you, Doug.
Did he sound like he had a cold? Right. And we let him come in here and breathe. What were we thinking? All right, Julie, the introduction I think is fine. You've got a pretty clear thesis statement, a good preview. Structural issues I think you're doing okay on, but the presentation, you just seem like you're kind of locked up into one position and you were doing a lot of reading, and you're not really connecting with the audience. You need to look up at us, you need to smile occasionally, or the closest that you came to giving us a little bit of personality was like when you talked about, you know, you might bring something that they really enjoyed, like their cigarettes or their alcohol. There was a little bit of a flash of personality in that section, but the rest of the time it's just you kind of going through the material, and so you got to connect a little bit more. Your eye contact, it's not very good because you are very script dependent. When you look up the 2 or 3 times, it's okay, but it's so infrequent that you're looking up that it takes us out of the relationship. Your voice, it projects pretty well, but I think you're a little routine in your variety, and it's not quite a monotone, but there needs to be a little bit more emphasis, a little bit more energy here and there. You're rushing, I think, a little quickly through the material, and that also contributes to the sense that it's kind of continuous instead of, you know, emphasizing key ideas or drawing us in on something, and you need to do a little bit more of that. All right, thank you.